Hi everyone, it's me, Diana the Doll Fairy.
Recently, we completed the Pokemon Zodiac doll series with Parasect, who represented the star sign Cancer. Now that the series is complete, I'm planning on making a calendar and an art book featuring all of these dolls. That will be available for you to purchase. Make sure you watch until the end of the video to find out how you can help make this project a reality through Kickstarter. Right now, let's take a look back at each doll in the series to see how far we've come. I started the series when I decided to make Solgaleo. Solgaleo is part of a summer-themed collaboration in which I participated with a group of my fellow doll customizers in August of 2018. Since my birthday is in August and I'm a Leo, it just kind of seemed like it all fell into place for me to start this series. Despite being the first in the series, Solgaleo holds up as the favorite of a lot of people, which is really cool. She's very different from any other doll I had made at that point. There's nothing about Solgaleo that I would change. She's very tough looking, which makes me feel like I don't personally connect with her as much as I do some other dolls who aren't representing my star sign. But at the same time, I'm still really proud of how powerful and imposing I was able to make her look. Her starry forehead, glowy looking eyes, and detailed jeweled armor make her one of the ones I am most proud of in this series. In September, for Virgo, I made Mega Diancie, who I personally think fits the sign pretty well. Ever since I first saw Mega Diancie's design, I was in love with the magical girl vibe and the crystals. You guys know I love lace, but I also have a deep love for crystals too. I wanted my Mega Diancie to have actual crystals hanging from her, so I constructed that wire skirt to go underneath her dress that would hold up the pink chandelier crystals I bought for her. Her dress is a little imperfect, as you can often see the wire frame underneath, and the face mold of this doll was very hard to work with, and it really didn't work that well for the anime-style cuteness I had in mind. But I love everything else about this doll, aside from how hard it is to balance her, even with a stand. And I hope you do too. Lunala, who represents Libra, was revealed on the day before Halloween in 2018. So already on the third sign, I'm no longer perfectly in sync with the calendar. To this day, Lunala is one of my personal favorites in the series, because to me, she represents the Pokemon perfectly. Some people have pointed out that they don't think she represents the Libra sign very well. To that, I must admit that I have never been a Zodiac scholar, and the criticisms on that front are valid. I just loved the idea I had for Lunala's design so much that I didn't really dig deeper into analyzing how well the Pokemon would fit the star sign. Either way, I'm not sorry I made her, because like I said, I really love her. I love her skeletal details, the dress that leaves her skeletal frame visible underneath the sheer fabric, her starry embroidered cape, and even her crazy bow and arrow. Though now I'm thinking if I could change something about her, it would be to make that sweeping golden bow into a fancy scale instead to help cement the idea of Libra. Giratina has my favorite face-up of all the Zodiac dolls. I still don't really know what I did differently that made her face turn out so well, but I really love it. Her edgy style, which was more inspired by the Pokemon Giratina itself than the qualities of the star sign Scorpio, was something very different for me. The tattoos were a challenge, but they turned out looking pretty cool, I think. Her hair gave me so much frustration, but in the end, it turned out pretty well considering. I like that her outfit is kind of edgy with the buckles and the boots, but also elegant with shiny satin and golden tulle, and I feel that the clothing really looks reminiscent of Giratina. Shiny Xerneas, which I chose to represent Sagittarius, was completed in late January. I was a little worried about making another Xerneas doll after Catherine from Delightful's amazing Xerneas that she made in our first Pokemon collaboration. But I also knew mine would be different enough that people shouldn't feel the need to compare the two. I'm not sure when I thought of the bow that looks like the antlers and the matching Valkyrie helmet, but once I had that inspiration and once I decided to use an Avia Trotter to make this doll a centaur, I knew that I had to choose Xerneas for this project. I have to say that although I think she turned out really well, she's probably one of my least favorites in the series personally, and that's mostly because she's the least human looking and doesn't have any fabric clothing pieces. I just personally really prefer my dolls to be more human-like a really great cosplayer more than an actual fantasy creature, I guess. but I still think she looks really awesome. Virizion came to represent Capricorn in March of 2019, and she got a great response. I think her classic grassy color scheme and vague Japanese influence is just very appealing. I personally like her a lot because she's so elegant. This was the first time I created something like the horns on her head, so that was exciting. I think she probably gave me the least stress out of all of these dolls because her design was simple and well suited to my personal tastes, and making her actually went pretty smoothly. She did have this weird stain on her nose that I lazily covered up with acrylic paint, and I thought for sure I was going to get attacked for that, but actually everyone said her nose looked really cute. I think so too, I just didn't think people would agree. Anyway, looking at her makes me happy, so she is definitely one of my favorites. Later that same month, Suicune appeared as our Aquarius. Her style was highly influenced by Esmeralda from Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which I think is really quite obvious in her design. My favorite things about this doll are her puff sleeves with the diamond-shaped rhinestones that represent the patterns on the Pokemon, the ribbons that flow on either side of her skirt, and last but definitely not least, her crystal crown. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to make a crown that I was satisfied with unless I ventured into the world of resin, but I ended up finding these gorgeous beads that worked better with the design than I could have imagined. I like her a lot, but there's still something about her that I feel is a little bit lacking. I think maybe I should have used a different fabric from the sleeves for her skirt to add more variety to her look, maybe a layer of the iridescent fabric I used for her sash. Something like that. But overall, I think she's really pretty. There was a bit of a long wait between Suicune and Melodic, who I chose for the sign Pisces. In fact, I took so long to get this doll ready that I ended up including her as my entry in Delightful's Tropical Mega Collab in August. This was the first time I modified a doll's body in a more drastic way by removing the legs entirely and creating a tail from wire and fabric. And that tail, I really adore the tail. It took so many hours to make the ruffled fins, cut up dozens of scales, and meticulously glue on each and every scale and sequin in an aesthetically pleasing pattern. But when I look at it now, I just remember how zen that whole process was and how much I actually enjoy tedious, meticulous work like this. It was totally worth it. And then Catherine from Delightful even drew a fan art of her, so that's just the absolute icing on the cake if you ask me. Melodic, along with Mega Houndoom, who came next as Aries, was the first departure from the series being exclusively legendary Pokemon. I knew from the beginning that while I wanted most of them to be legendary, because legendaries have the most ornate designs, they wouldn't all be, because Melodic had been in my mind for Pisces since before I even started the series. I would rather choose a Pokemon that inspires me and that I feel fits the sign, rather than pick a legendary for the sake of saying that they're all legendary. So I think Mega Houndoom was the first time I used Epoxy Sculpt. I like how many of these dolls introduced new challenges for me, and that was one of my goals for the series. Personally, Mega Houndoom isn't my favorite because his style just isn't my style, but I still think he looks pretty cool, and I'm really proud of the parts that I sculpted and painted to look like bone. It was also the first time that there was a guy doll in the series, which is exciting. Of course, I had to go ahead and ship him with somebody, but as I explained in his video, after I got attached to the idea of him and Virizion as sort of a couple, I found out that Capricorn and Aries don't mix well. Maybe they have a volatile and complex relationship. Let's go with that. With the start of 2020, finally came Taurus, represented by this doll inspired by the Pokemon Bouffalante. I struggled so much to finish this doll and her video. Not because of the doll, who I actually love to pieces. It's because of the confusion around YouTube's changing policies and the COPPA crisis. I was feeling so lost and discouraged, and I really didn't know if I would even be able to continue making Pokemon-inspired dolls on my channel. So because of that, it was a slog to finish this video while all of that was weighing on me for months. But as for the doll, I love her sweet face, glorious hair, and all of her gold accents. The painted ones along with the jewelry. I've never really liked the Pokemon Bouffalante until I looked deeper and found this inspiration, and now I'm really happy with this doll. It felt like ages before I finally got to Mew and Mewtwo for Gemini, which I had been looking forward to since the beginning of the series. They were a huge project. They had so many different steps. rerouting and face-ups, of course, but then also sculpting, armor pieces, sewing garments, and then painting everything to match. It took forever. But I love how adorable Mew is. I personally love both of their face-ups, and I think that they do look like the Pokemon. As for Mewtwo, I put so much effort into him, and I think he's pretty cool, especially with the wires attached to his armor. I'm not 100% satisfied with his helmet and the proportions of his overall silhouette. That stems from the original sculpting of the doll itself, and Monster High guys are very skinny. I think that does work for Mewtwo, but I think maybe the head is just so big compared to the body that the helmet emphasized that just a bit too much. Even so, I'm still proud of the sculpting I did to modify his feet and create his tail. It's the closest I've ever come to doing doll motion level body mods. And finally, our last Zodiac doll, Parasect as Cancer, ended up coming full circle by being revealed in July of 2020, actually fitting into the calendar again. I was afraid people would be disappointed with her because she's earthy and cute instead of flashy and goddessy like a lot of my other Zodiac dolls. But my biggest goal in this series has been to create variety and try new things. So I thought a cute little mushroom witch was exactly what this group needed to round them out. She appeals to my personal preferences more than some of the other dolls in the series, with her big round anime eyes, pigtails, and poofy mushroom dress edged with tea-stained lace. I'm very glad that most everyone seemed to really like her. I love how her photos came out because I got to take pictures outside since that fits her theme. Seeing all of them together, I still can't quite believe I actually made it through this project. It took me twice as long as I had intended, 2 years instead of 1, but I've been through a lot in that period of time, and I have to say that I'm really proud of myself for sticking through it through everything and actually completing what I set out to do. I'm the kind of person who has a lot of big ideas and inevitably ends up giving up on a lot of them out of necessity or boredom. So I'm happy to have this group of art pieces to show for all of my hard work, and I'm so glad that I've been able to share them with all of you. I'm so glad to see how much variety there is in this series of dolls. I kind of imagine them as a group, like the Greek gods of legend. They all know one another and they're all very powerful, otherworldly beings, but they have extremely distinct styles, personalities, and lifestyles. We have the Celestial Sisters, your edgy pals, who probably like to roll their eyes at the divas in the Crystal Crown crew, a couple of stoic warriors, your benevolent goddesses, and the sweethearts. What other headcanons do you have about these characters and how they might interact with one another? Share your ideas in the comments below, I would love to read them. If you would like to purchase a keepsake calendar and/or art book featuring brand new, high-quality photographs of each Pokemon Zodiac doll, you can help me make this into a reality by backing the project on Kickstarter. The calendar will feature each doll in a never-before-seen photograph with a fitting background, painstakingly edited by me that captures the doll's character. For each month, the appropriate star sign will be featured, with the constellation and a mini bio for the character. The squares in the calendar grid will be left blank so that you can write in the holidays and dates that are important to you. The art book will also feature these special photos of each doll, along with detail shots, concept art, and behind-the-scenes background info on the development and creation process of each doll. I've already been working on the graphics for both the calendar and the art book for a while, so with your support, I intend to have both completed and printed so that I can send them out to you in January 2021. Be sure to check out all the details for the Kickstarter at the link in the description. There are different pledge levels with different rewards, including the calendar, the art book, or both, along with bonus Doll Fairy gifts like charms and stickers. And if we reach the stretch goal, there will also be Pokemon Zodiac bookmarks as well. You can also pledge a smaller amount to help us reach the goal, even if you aren't interested in purchasing the calendar or art book. The cool thing about Kickstarter is that you won't be charged at all if we don't reach the goal, so you're covered. But I do really hope to reach the goal and make this project happen, so please make sure you send in your pledge before the 14-day window for the campaign ends. I would like to say a huge thank you to all of my patrons for all of their support and encouragement. I couldn't have completed this project without you. If you would like to join Patreon to support the Doll Fairy and gain access to perks like behind-the-scenes content and exclusive collaborations, check out the link in the description below to check it out. Thank you all so much for watching this video, as well as sticking with me throughout this epically long series. I hope you will like all the other fun and exciting doll projects coming up on my channel. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and if you're new, take a look at my Pokemon Zodiac playlist to watch the videos for each one of these dolls. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again very soon for more doll magic. Bye!